Start right off. We're going to start at the beginning of things. So going back in time, we find Reorient, and the songs on that ended up on
Oh, wow.
17 and Afraid of the Dark. So those songs
Oh
kind of hit,
God. Whoa.
put on, right?
I didn't
Yeah,
think we were
yeah.
going this far
We're
back. I didn't
starting
think we were going
right.
this far
We're
back.
we're starting at the beginning, or at least as far back as I
Oh,
can. So
okay.
initially starting off, polearm is becoming a thing. What are your sort of like loose general goals for music at this time, and like whether it be in terms of the sound that you're making, what you're influenced by, or sort of the motivation to even start doing music in the first place?
I I was literally just thinking about this in the shower before we called, and I realized I feel like my perception of that has changed a little bit. I mean, I still make music for fun,
Yeah,
but I don't do it just for fun. I do it to like survive and cope now. So it's a little bit of it's a different thing now. I
yeah,
feel like I've just been thinking about how I like treat it a little differently than what I used to because yeah, it is like my job and like what I want to do for the rest of my life. So there's weight to it.
yeah,
I don't know. I think like realistically, like I think my only goal really, like, I mean, I'm just doing whatever music, like, I feel like I'm not really thinking about what anybody else wants. Like, I'm just kind of doing what sounds cool. It's like, oh, I like this. Like, I'll put it out. I mean, currently, I'm not even at the stage to like hold things and really pick things and all that. I still got to basically put out everything I make. So I'm just going to keep doing that.
yeah.
But if my whole like if my whole lo-fi hip hop discography were to disappear, I want to be able to like survive solely off this right here. Like that's kind of the whole that's just what I want.
Yeah, so like the perspective of what you're making and like the motivation behind making it. Now there's like a brand element involved.
Yeah, a little bit.
Do you think that impacts, I guess, how you approach things, like how maybe you approach the marketing of your music, or how it just how you view it yourself, or is it all just still very, you make what you make and then you hope it sticks?
You know, yeah, I've kind of always done it the same way. It's really just been, you know, I don't even know how to really describe it. It's just like I'm just going through the motions. That's all it is. Like I'm not really like thinking too hard about like how I want to present things. Like yeah, I do like in regards to like an album for sure. Then yeah, I'm thinking about like the packaging of it, I mean obviously like how I want it to look, the aesthetic I want to present,
Yeah,
even like the color palette, but in terms of like the music, like that's just like it just sort of whatever comes together and that's like what I have to offer. I don't like denying um I don't like denying my creations.
yeah, yeah. You don't want to
But
change the look of it for maybe an external reason. Um,
that and also just like I feel like if there's something to take away from anything, even if like I mean there have always been songs where I'm kind of just like about, but people around me tell me like, oh, you should really put this out. So I do, and I think it just feels better. It feels better than just holding it, and then it's like, oh fuck, like that. There's like that song that I never dropped. It's like it's just all it's there.
yeah,
So
yeah, and if we progress a little bit further, we reach the point where you have like, if you're ever in need, and at this point you kind of establish
oh,
this. Yeah, right. We've established this sort of like poppy and trancey sort of emo trap sound, very hypnotic, very layered. So where do you arrive? When do you arrive at this early sound for what you're kind of building as Polearm, and what was so attractive about that kind of music?
okay. So plugging in something. Can you still hear me?
Yeah,
Gorgeous. Okay. It was just like plugging in my wireless thing so it charged. Anyway, you know, it's so hard to like that was so long ago, so it's so interesting to like think about how far back that was and what I was doing. I mean like back then it was just like it was emo rap, like that
yeah,
was the thing and like uh plug music, like not even like plug and beat. It was just like straight like plug. That's like what was the thing at the time. So I think I was just trying to like do an amalgamation of both, because I wanted to have like because I mean I still wanted to like get personal things off my chest, but I wanted it to like go hard. That's like the only thing I've really ever thought about. It's just like how can I make an emotional song and still make it like go hard and just like
Yeah.
have a bump, you know? That's kind of been the whole thing. And I mean there are like songs from that time that I think are early blueprints of what's out now,
Hmm.
you know, which I don't know. I think some people forget that like this has been a thing that's been I've been cooking this for a
It's
long
been
time.
building,
So
yeah, over
it's
time.
been
You've kind of been refining
building,
it.
building. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Like I've really yeah.
how would you say that relative to what you were doing then, how would you say that you would describe your current sound now, whether it be emotionally or sonically?
I I mean, see the thing is it's like I've been kicking it with Chris from Hot Mulligan and I realized that they took the they took the post emo thing, but for a while like to myself I was saying like this is just post emo. Like this is like an amalgamation of everything emo like kind of blasted into one thing like whatever you want to because it's emo rap with a saw bass, man.
Yeah.
Like that,
Yeah.
what that's all it is. That's literally all it is. Like if you were to like strip away the instrumental and just put like a classic emo rap instrumental like from 2017,
I think it
it'd
would
be like
work.
kind of it would work. Yeah, that's where it comes from. You know what I mean? Like I mean like I do have the kind of like I see the thing is back then it wasn't even called hyper pop. It was PC music.
See, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So I was about to say like it's just I there was I think it was I was a part of the emo rap and plug scene and then PC music was kind of a thing and I just sort of like
Yes, so in a way, the music that you're making now, at least some semblance of the emotion and the emotion behind it, the sort of ethos behind it, is almost like a response to that emo movement. You're taking that sound and kind of like recontextualizing it in a way for maybe a more modern sound.
yeah, maybe. I mean, I wouldn't even say like more modern. I just think more hard hitting.
Okay.
You know, I just like man, see, I mean, I always felt like emo rap was like a little slow
Hmm.
and kind of in like that dun 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 very slow mosh pit tempo, especially a lot of the music around that time. It was kind of like the
It's got a bit of
more
a
like
drone to it.
yeah, like the 130 BPM, 135 BPM, like just dun 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 dun. But I feel like we can kind of ramp it up a little. Dun, 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 have like some, you know, I just always imagined like it a little more upbeat with like kind of brighter melodies and then just like a fat mosh pit. That's really all it ever was, you know?
Just emo but hard.
Yeah, literally. Just I wanted it to go harder. That was it.
Yeah. And combing through your discography, which is something that I did in preparation for this video, we don't see a lot of outside influence on your music. Your music feels very insular. There's not a lot of features on really anywhere in your discography, but there are a few. In the
Yeah.
form, there are a few in the form of like Black Winter Wells is on a song, Fatsy's on a song, Narnia was on
Yeah.
the recent album, and you kind of have a few people just scattered throughout. How would you say that the people you said you're hanging out with, Chris from Hot Mulligan, how would you say that the people you've surrounded yourself with over the past few years, whether in terms of just friends or in terms of fellow artists in a creative space, how would you say that like that impact and influence of other people has impacted your art, impacted the way you view art on either a personal level or even on like an economic level?
Oh, well, if we're talking economic level, there's always money to be made.
Of course.
There's always something to be added to the repertoire to like I don't know. There's always something more that could be worked on, and I think just like hanging out with everybody and seeing like everybody kind of doing their own like little um I don't know, everybody has like their own thing, you know,
Hmm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to kind of like everybody has like the main thing, but then there's like kind of the side facets that like kind of get incorporated into the main thing, like how like I mean Charlie like Fatsy's really good at video editing. He does like crazy glitch stuff that like it's like borderline programming, you
Yeah.
know, and that's always something I've been like inspired by. It's I think it's less the music and more like the personal bits that makes everybody unique
Hmm.
that inspire me. You know what I mean? Because all of us do music, but then all of us kind of like different niche things. You know, it's kind of like a flow chart almost.
Yeah.
So I like what's at the other end of the flow chart.
Hell yeah.
Stuff that
Um,
like I'm not really exposed to.
yeah, and I know that you said earlier that that you had kind of sort of developed this lens and perspective of viewing your music not only as a creative outlet but also as something that makes money. Um, which is so I'm gonna establish a bit of a timeline for you, a timeline of Polearm's goals over the year.
Yeah.
Because in 2017, your goal was to use your music money to buy Coachella tickets, purely off of money made from music.
Wow.
And
Who
then,
did you hear this from?
oh, I heard it from your Twitter account. Is where I heard it from.
Oh my wow. That's so I was tweeting way too much.
Yeah.
I was tweeting way too much.
And then hey, in 2019, fast forward 2 years, your goal was to see your internet friends more and also have washboard abs. In
Oh my
2020,
god, you've really come through my Twitter.
I
That's
have.
insane.
In 2020, your goal was to just not die. That's my favorite goal.
Oh god, yeah.
And now,
Things really changed.
yeah,
Things
and
really
now
changed.
we reach the freshly started year of 2024. We're at the end of January. Where do you find that your goals align now? And I guess what do you hope to accomplish this year in the beautiful year of 2024?
Oh my god. Sorry, I was not expecting that. I was not expecting that. Honestly,
Nothing
this
but the
year,
best
like,
for you.
I mean, if we're gonna keep it like really, like, if we're gonna keep it really, like, real, we're getting out of debt this year.
Hell yeah.
That's what we're doing.
That is what we like to
That's
hear.
what it is. Yep. Wow, 2020, just not die.
Not die.
Ugh, I don't think I meant that. I don't think I meant that. I don't think I was that sad in 2020.
Maybe a little more tongue in
But
cheek.
yeah. That is so funny. I'm just thinking about all the shit you probably saw in my Twitter that like I need to come through and get rid of.
Oh,
Because I was
I
just,
found a lot that's not
oh
even
yeah,
included in this interview.
oh yeah. There's a lot of like out of pocket stuff probably. I don't know. I think because at the time on Twitter, like that was just like it was just funny to say
Oh
out of
yeah,
pocket shit. But
it's
then I,
funny because people will be like, oh, like like you've really done your research. Like how'd you even find this out? Like how did you ask that question? And in reality, I'm just scrolling through Twitter. I'm like, let's see what this fucking person was talking about 3 years ago.
yeah, literally. No, I mean back then it was just like funny to be like really out of pocket.
Oh yeah, of course.
There's like a lot of shit that I obviously don't mean, but there was definitely like a period of time where like I kind of realized that I think people might think I'm like a little like I'm serious sometimes. So I just stopped doing that. Once I realized that people like actually like not that people actually thought it was serious, but it was becoming like the Twitter shit posting was becoming too much of the brand.
It was a
And I was
different
like, okay, like
landscape.
we need to, yeah, I was like, okay, we need to like actually be like serious and and you know, make people want because it was like kind of something where like I could tweet something really stupid and it would get like 50 likes, and then I'd tweet something about music and it would get like a fifth of that. So it's like, okay,
Right?
like someday we need to change gears. There
Yeah.
was definitely a moment where that happened.
Well, I think that
So
getting out of debt, I would say, is a very commendable goal, and I think a probably pretty relatable goal as well. Um,
well, I mean, like that happens. I mean, like just buying equipment and like thinking you'll make the return like that much faster, and then the next project comes up, and then like there's this, that, and it just happens. But
yeah. And this is it's sort of dialing back the specificity of the questions a bit. Let's get a little general. You've been doing Polearm for a few years, and you actually you have previous projects in the form of Halberd and the lo-fi scene and stuff like that.
yeah,
But in terms of Polearm, sort of what is the process, I guess, that you've developed creatively for over the years for making a song? What does the Polearm assembly line look like?
I'm just making. I'll make beats in my free time when I feel like it. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not like sitting down. Because I know some people that'll be like, okay, like I'm sitting down once a day and I'm making at least one beat. I know people that will make like five in a day, and that'll do them in 20 minutes a pop. I'll probably sit down and do one, and then I'll like listen to it on loop for 3 hours. And if I'm really going through anything in life at the moment, I'll the flow will kind of come to me. Like it really depends on like if I catch a flow on the beat that's like catchy enough that it's like, oh, I could like write words to
Yeah,
this. I don't I don't know. I I feel like that's pretty standard. I don't think
seems like
that's
a
too
very
weird.
free form process.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, I have the beat. Like, do I hear it? Dun, 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 and it's like, okay, here we go. Let's do this on.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. Um, and what am I looking at? What am I looking at? I lost my train of thought completely. Um, and also, I do want to get into the album, but I do have a couple more just quick ones for you that I think that we can probably breeze through. The
Yeah.
first one I feel like maybe being the most apparent. You make music creatively under the alias Polearm, according to a quick Google search. That is a spear-like weapon. What does the name Polearm mean to you?
Uh, it doesn't mean anything.
Nice,
Uh,
cool, that's awesome.
yeah, it it doesn't mean anything. I came up with it when I was like 16, maybe,
Yeah,
because because I came up with Halberd when I was like 14. And then I like after a while from producing, I was like, okay, like I just wanted to make like stupid like plug music. So it was like kind of a meme account. So it was like Lil Polearm. It was like a meme because it
oh,
was like a
okay.
play on my actual thing at the time. And then people told me like, oh, this is actually like pretty like catchy. You should just do this for real. And here we are.
Nice, all right, yeah. Sometimes that's all it takes.
It was really that simple. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is the last question where we'll take a trip down memory lane. I had a lot of stuff in the past I wanted to get out. In 2018, so we're traveling what 6 years in the past. Your bio on Twitter. I don't even do you even know what I'm about to say?
No, but I know it's something stupid.
Your bio was "Don't book me for shows my parents won't let me."
Oh my God. Whoa. What the hell?
Yes, and then since then you
I
have
think that
done
just happened.
multiple shows since that point. So
Yeah, what the hell? That's
how is your
crazy.
approach to music in the context of a live setting grown over time? Are there songs that you think are best suited for live performances? How have you grown accustomed to doing live sets either as a vocal artist or as a DJ?
Oh man, actually, I love this question because I think that's also what kind of like I think doing shows influenced my music too because you know what like you said like I said like don't book me for shows because I think what happened was is that I was like people were trying to like book me for stuff and then I would like ask my parents and they would just be like no like you're not going to Chicago or whatever. Like I don't know. Like I wasn't even allowed to go to like a rap concert at that
Yeah,
age. So much less do my own. That was pretty much out of the question. So, but I think like once like I moved to LA, and I had done one or two, like I understood kind of like the feeling of it and going to a lot of shows too, or like kind of the feeling I wanted to get when I like played my stuff on stage. I wanted to be able to like I just went to a few shows in my life where like it was just the like insane energy where everybody's focused on one thing and it's just the crazy mosh pit. I was like, dude, that would be like insane, to just have like a sea of
yeah,
people. So I think that sort of like got me transitioning into more like harder hitting stuff and more like mosh pit oriented tempos and drums and stuff because that's just like when I'm doing a show like that's what I want. I want it to like rock the fuck
yeah.
out.
It's like, what response can I get to this?
Yeah, just like how many people in the building can I just get moving all to the same thing? Like that's and like how many people can I sell it to? Like and I think the being able to especially after going to shows and then being able to imagine that for myself, I think that's what kind of definitely when I'm making like certain songs, I will like imagine how it is gonna be live and like
Yeah,
you know. But not every song I'm making for a live setting. That's where the soft ones come from, and that's like those are the ones where I'm like, oh, I'm never playing this live
yeah.
ever.
But it became part of like just something to think about in the context of creating a song. It's like, oh, could this go well live?
Yeah, literally. Like, would people just mosh to this? that's not what I want when I'm making the song, but that's what I want to get out of it, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Are there any songs that you've made that are like definitive, like go to? Like if I'm doing a show, if I'm doing a set, I have to get this song in.
I would open up with White Swan. I did that for like 2 years straight. I think yeah, I mean, last tour I still did that as well. That was like the opener track for a while, but now I'm not so sure. Now with the album intro, like that might be one to do because it's just like the attention grabber for like the first track of my set list. Because I'm still like in a situation where like not everybody that at the show is gonna know who I am. So the first thing that
Yeah.
plays when I get up on there, I need it to be like locked in, you know?
Yeah. And you know, speaking of the album, you know, you said the intro track, the album might sort of replace that. I do want to move into a discussion about the album that you've posted recently, last November, 3, because I think that we can get a lot out of it.
Oh yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot in that one.
So before we get, because I do want to get into the individual tracks, but before we get into the individual tracks, let's kind of start general and say going into this project first, you know, deciding this is something I want to do, laying out the groundwork for it. What was, I guess, the plan and the concept initially going into it?
I want to have an album out every year, so that's I think a good part of it, or at least starting it, came from the realization like, fuck, I need to have an album out in 7 months. Like, let's go. You know,
Yeah.
I think there was a bit of that, and I'm having that thought already now. It's like, okay, like, you know, it's 2024. We don't have an album out yet. We need to have an album out, and
Yeah.
then so I'm like already starting the next one. But I think it's just having like I think it's when I get in a groove, you know, because there's times where I'll drop a bunch of loose singles and they're all kind of like all over the place, different genre here, different vibe there, but
Hmm.
sometimes like I'll get maybe like I mean, I drop every song I make, and sometimes it's the only song I have on my computer like finished, ready. Like there's no other unreleased songs, there's no demos, nothing. Like sometimes it's the only thing I've got.
Yeah.
So, and that's usually like periods of time where I'll be doing singles and whatnot. And I don't know. I think at some point I always kind of have like a few stacked up that kind of all sound similar. And then it's like, oh, they sound good in this order. And it's like, well, if I have like 3 tracks already, like I can just do, 7 more.
Yeah. Like you're already
And
kind
then,
of there.
yeah. So that I just sort of whatever 3 songs I have to start, like those are the singles. I never really like think too hard about like, oh, what should the singles be? It's just like whatever couple songs I have and what I think are the best ones. It's like, okay, I'll stack these out for every month for 3 months. And this 3 months, like there needs to be something ready by the end of it or
Yeah.
almost ready by the end of it. So
So almost rather than going into it, you know, heavily considering what it is thematically, it's more so necessitated out of just like, I have this amount of things done, might as well keep going.
it's everything's out of necessity. I think everything I do is out of necessity in some way, shape, or form. And
Okay.
I think there's a lot of times where that sort of like takes over the decision making. It's just like, okay, like we just I'm getting a bunch of songs together and like we're just gonna make a bunch of bangers and then I'll get a cool cover art and then we'll figure it out from there, man. Like I mean,
Yeah.
at this day and age, like what else can I do besides post and pray? Like, yeah, I mean, I could get on TikTok, Instagram Reels and like spam all the time, and then
Yeah.
eventually like one video pops off, but it's like
Yeah, maybe
I don't
something
know,
takes hold.
like that is just like not that's not paying the bills. That's not making money for me,
Yeah.
Is posting a ton of videos is not making money, but I can make a bunch of clothes out here, handmade, and put that together. And then that's just way more satisfying to me. I'd rather like push a brand than push a social media.
Yeah. Because I mean, yeah, like you said, because that's something that is viable, that is going to keep you afloat.
Yeah, like that's gonna get my freaking burrito down the street, man. Like that's what
Exactly.
it yeah,
Exactly.
like spending all day on like like we're gonna go out into we're gonna go out just like into like a field like an hour outside of LA and then just like set up with a mic and computer and like shoot some videos. Like that's like fine, and I like respect that because that works for some people. But like you would not catch me like dead doing that. That is not like how I. It's not like we're driving an hour out to do like a music video. You know, like
Yeah.
that's like what we're doing. I I'm just not like I've kind of like fucked around with the idea of like, oh, maybe if I just did like a funny TikTok or like kind of like just weird deadpan stuff, but like I never keep it up because at the end of the day, every second, every living moment of my life is the grind.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Never stops.
So it's just not whatever I'm doing. That's not like really like. I mean, okay, this does like sound like a little too like frank and cut and dry. Like obviously, I do hang out with friends and like we do fun things. But I mean, honestly, a lot of times when I'm hanging out with the boys, like we're still like making beats or
Yeah.
like working on like it's still like productive, you know. So it's very hard for me to do non-productive things for an extensive period of time before I'm like, fuck this. Like I need to like go work on XYZ. So
Yeah.
that's just never, I've never like, you know, it's never clicked for me, but
Yeah.
I
Efficiency
respect
is
it.
important.
Yeah.
I
So,
think
but
I
yeah,
think
just hope and pray.
yeah.
Hope people like figure it out. And it's kind of working. I mean, last tour that I went on in July was the first tour where like I get on stage, I start playing White Swan, the pit is formed. It was
Yeah.
like my very like the first song that I played on the first show in New York, it was like sold out, I'm pretty sure. Everybody knew what was up. Everybody was ready to go. I was like, "Whoa." That's when it like clicked for me a
Like it
little.
hit
Like,
you.
okay, people are starting to get it because I used to play White Swan for dead crowds. I would try to like get everybody moving and like nobody would move and just kind of nod their heads and it's like that's
Yeah.
okay, that's fine. Still happens sometimes, you know, a crowd that isn't familiar with me, but like there were most of the shows on tour like they were ready. They knew what
Yeah.
was up.
That's
So
awesome.
that's when it was like okay, like this is working. Like this I'm not just delusional, you know.
Yeah.
Because if I can get a room of like, you know, 300 kids like moving like that, 200 kids, I could do 2000. Like
Yeah.
that can be a thing. So at this point it's just another tour, another
Yeah.
album.
Making that growth.
Yeah, literally
And I feel like that. I feel
push
like
out.
that kind of. I feel like a lot of that kind of answers my first question, I guess, where Fate is sort of introducing the album. It kicks off the album track list, and but you know you said that you kind of just kind of go with what sounds good, kind of go with what you're making. My question, I guess, is you know how is this a good introduction to the album, and you know what was the idea behind the track list ordering?
Um
But it kind of sounds
I would
like it's
just
just you were kind of just going with what sounded good.
literally just close my eyes and then like I basically I would just I make the track list like from top to bottom. I'll just like kind of just sit there and what is a good first song? And then one kind of just comes to me like, okay, this would be a good first song. But Fate was kind of like an obvious one. When I made that beat and then it does like the album 3, I was like,
Yeah,
yeah, this is the intro. Like that was pretty set in stone very early on. When I made that, I was like, this is like if I can actually manage to make a song on this beat and like write to it, this will be the intro. Because that beat sat for months before I even
yeah,
like got a word on that, before I could even like think like to get a flow or anything like that. But um, you know, and then I'll just let the song play out, let the end hit, and then whatever song is set up next in the SoundCloud playlist, it'll start playing. And then if it just doesn't feel right, I'll be like, no, and I'll just
yeah.
swap it for another track, roll it back to the last 30 seconds of the first song, tax, new song. Okay, this feels good. And
All
that's
right.
like Plight into Mercy is like that, you know, that's kind of what it was. It was like, okay, I have the two intro tracks and like this is fine. What dun 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 like that kind of just comes in,
Yeah.
you know?
All right. And I'm gonna hit. Are you ready? Every single interview I do, I always have one question. That is, I'm. It's kind of mean, but it's sort of an intentionally hard
Yeah,
question. It's difficult.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so this is my one hard question of the interview. And it's about plight. I figured it was a good way to touch on it. I feel like plight represents very well embodies a lot of the themes that I recognized on the album. Also
All right.
featuring guitar work from 93 Feet of Smoke. Um,
Fire also
s-
blessed me with that loop. It was just in like a Dropbox folder.
nice. So the song, I feel like touches upon this sort of like bleak desperation in a way. So how would you say that this song and the album kind of like represents and embodies this sort of represented internal fight with yourself between stagnation and growth? How do you view that dichotomy when making music in your life, just in any context?
Well, if this doesn't go anywhere, I will shrivel into nothing. And I don't like the idea of that being a possibility. So I'm going to just kind of like throw it in the back of my brain and just hope everything works out and I put out the right music and then there we go. We're good. That's if like that's the primal desperation I live with every day. Is literally just like, okay, like this is working kind of, but is it gonna like work forever?
Yeah.
And that's where we're at. So I think again, like everything's out of necessity.
Yeah.
Like I need to do this for a living at this point, just because like nothing brings me like greater joy and satisfaction, and I don't think I'll ever find anything else that does besides like maybe like collecting vinyls. So like options are slim. I've put all my eggs in the basket. Like we gotta get it
No,
rolling.
no other option at this point. You're too far in.
I'm too far in. I'm 6 or 7 years deep now. Like this is like it's been my life, like just it's been my every waking moment for pretty much like a third of my life at this point.
Yeah. It's
So
all you know.
say that again.
It's all you know.
Yeah.
And that was a good answer. See, I feel like I stump people sometimes, and I feel really awful when I do.
Well, no, I think that was really easy for me to answer like
Good.
instantly. 'Cause
Hell yeah. So we're gonna skip a bit. We're gonna skip ahead a bit on the track list, and we're gonna arrive at Thread, which not only has the
banger.
only features on the album, but also three features in the form of Narnia Fats and
Fuck
Anxiety
yeah,
Attacks. So
the boys.
how does their inclusion influence this album, and what was the process of getting that song pulled together?
Oh, we just wanted something to play on tour.
Okay.
We just like it was like probably it was maybe 3 weeks before tour, and not even probably 2 weeks before tour, and we were just like we need to like make the because it's the emo rave tour. We're like we need to make like the emo rave song.
Yeah.
So we just Charlie and I made that beat right here, and we just kind of like pieced it together over like a day or two. But it's just like a track with everybody on it, so we could just like all be
Just something
together
to
on
go hard
stage playing
live.
it live. Yeah, and then we kind of all posted that. I think the reason why it became my song is because I did most of the beat. Like Charlie did the guitar, and then I pretty much like did the beat, and then because that's why I'm only on it. I'm only on it for like 30 seconds,
Yeah.
which I kind of fuck with that. I like that it's like kind of like a spot for it's like okay, these are my friends. I'm gonna be on it for a second, and then we're gonna get back to the album. Like I think it fits in nicely, even though that was just like something we made to just play at a show.
Yeah.
But it's also on my album because like there you can't normally put like four primary artists on a song on Spotify. You can only do three.
Hmm.
So when I actually released the album, I got anxiety attacks like actually linked on the song for real.
Oh,
So
okay.
kind of like did like a little Spotify hack.
Nice.
But
And as I'm wrapping up my questions that I have for the album, but I do want to kind of talk about the production side of the album instead of
yeah,
vocally or lyrically. So you kind of have a a couple different angles that you're approaching on the production. We hear kind of plucky, almost folky guitar on songs like "Quit" or "Wait."
love it.
Layered under these sort of buzzing synths. But then on other songs, like "Heavy," you have they're defined by really harsh, rattly basses. A bit more of a different sound. I guess what influences and sounds were you pulling from when developing the sonic palette for the production of the album, or was it kind of just this sounds good, let's do it?
I think really like because I don't really listen to music like I I get asked that a bunch like oh what like music influences you and it's like like I feel like listening to music and making music are two very separate things for
Oh
me
yeah.
now. they don't have anything to do with each other. But I guess like rolling back into that, I mean, I think if anything, it's just finding like a good guitar. I'm a little embarrassed to say that like I can't quite play guitar that well myself. Like I have done like a few guitar things myself here and there, but it's just not quite the right sound. I think it's maybe because like I'm just not familiar with tunings and whatnot. Like I
Yeah.
was a bass kid. I played bass. I never
Gotcha.
like did like guitar. So that kind of, I mean, I'll do bass guitar on tracks like a bunch. I love doing that, but like playing actual guitar, like I'm kind of lacking on that. So it still comes down to like finding a good guitar sample, which is sort of embarrassing to say, especially at this point in my career.
I don't think it's embarrassing.
And I'm planning to pick up guitar like for real this year. I just gotta like actually get the money to buy a good guitar because the one I have is like just super. So there's like a shitty Ibanez, but
Yeah.
we yeah, I don't know. It's really just comes down to finding a good guitar sample, and it's like okay, I can get a flow on this, and sometimes like the beat drop will come in a minute and a half into the song, and sometimes there isn't that crazy flip like that, but that song's like Ruined in Doubt and Quit and Heavy because those are like in the same project file actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like yeah, it's Ruined and Doubt. That's the same project file. And
Huh.
so when the track switches, that's basically like all the assets from the last track, but like way distorted, and like that's when it's like the banger. Cause like usually I do that when the nice part of the track is like too long. And then when the track gets like super mean and heavy, it's like the song's already 3 minutes and it's like, okay, like I have to like split these songs up. So that's why there's like, minute and a half tracks.
Yeah.
Because I figured as like a 4 minute thing, that would just be like too long and too exhausting. Whereas I can give the listener a choice to just like get right to the banger,
Yeah.
you know? So that's I love doing that so much. That's like all my double singles. All my
Nice.
double singles are like the same project file, and it's literally just like copying the guitar over, maybe changing the key of the song, and like super distorting it, and like adding some new synths, and just the and fat drums. Like I
That's a
have,
that's a,
yeah.
a really cool approach to doing that.
It's kind of like a cop out. Like I mean, sometimes like not that it's a cop out because I get really good, awesome songs out of it every time, but in terms of like I could easily just go make another song, you know, but I just think like every idea has like a little more juice in it than people like really give them credit for,
Yeah.
because if I can carry like that original idea and kind of morph it into like a whole nother track that's like a different vibe and like people don't catch up on that, like that's just that much more efficient, you know.
Yeah.
Because I'm making like every song I'm posting every song I make, and sometimes I'm making only like one song a month. So like it's just if I can just get a second song and it's like okay, I stacked this beat up and made it super distorted. Now it's like another track. I got that
Yeah.
part ready in like 20 minutes. Like boom, we're just gonna do that because it's just
Like
that
that's
many
that's a
more
whole other song.
shots in the dark. Yeah, there's just another shot in the dark to like whoever, wherever,
Yeah.
especially in like the streaming age, and you got to really like post a lot of music
Oh yeah.
nowadays.
High retention.
So yeah, you gotta. So just having like that one extra one is just works for me.
Yeah.
Some people might think that's like a cop out or like I'm kind of just copying the same thing over or like it's like lazy, but it's like no, I think every song deserves to be a banger.
Yeah.
Every song deserves to be a banger.
I agree.
So
And so at the end of the album, we have Empty, which actually in terms of production is pretty lo-fi, if we're being honest, especially in the drums. Um,
the last track is always the lo-fi, John.
yeah, I was about to say, how do you think that the track closes out the album? And now that we're at the end of the album, it's just like, how are you feeling? We're a couple months out of the release of it. I'm sure you're working on other things now. You have more music, brand stuff going on. How has the end of the album uh, and the release of it been?
You know, I I think I mean not that like I think every time I drop an album, not that like I'm super expecting it to like change everything,
Yeah.
but I just hope to at least like notice a little bit of a change, and I don't every time, you know.
Yeah.
But then I went back and I like actually like yesterday I went back and looked at like a bunch of screenshots from like 3 years ago, and it's like, White Swan has like 10K plays, and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So I I'm taking comfort in knowing that like, okay, like these songs that I have out right now that have like, 10K plays, 30K plays, like they will have like over 100 by next year, or like maybe the
Yeah.
year after that, and like it'll look solid, you know. But I just think it feels better just to like have that music out so people like know like what I'm on, and just like the level that I'm at,
Yeah.
because having like Triple Two as my recent album all through last year like kind of sucked. Really, at least like not really, it didn't like suck, but it was just like, damn, like this is like when people go to my Spotify, they're like peeping the old shit.
Yeah. It's
Like
like that's not where I'm at
I'm
right
on
now.
crazier stuff. It's like way more developed now. It's more mature. It's like banging. I've got all this like good stuff.
Yeah.
There was a period of time where I had all this like good, like nicely developed stuff, and it wasn't out. And I was just like, man, like I just want to show people that like I am so much more capable, and they're like, but they're not seeing it, So
Yes.
I just had to get it out.
So rather than maybe a major grand accomplishment, an album is almost more of a benchmark of progress, just where you're at in terms of sound.
Really, that's all it is. Like, I mean, I could I do think like the album is more of like it is a benchmark. That is what it is. Every project I've ever put out is more or less like a benchmark. It's not, I'm not really like focused on it being like the end all be all. I c- I don't care when I get a hit. It can be a single, it can be off an album, it can be an album cut. Doesn't matter to me. I just think that like people being able to see the progression is the most important thing.
Yeah. I think that's a good way of looking at it. And
Yeah.
with that, we arrive at the end of the album, and we arrive at the end of my questions, in all honesty. And so as we wrap up the interview with Polearm, Polearm, what do you got going on? What do you have to promote? This is your time. Be as shameless as you can possibly be.
Oh, well, I mean, Fatsy's about to be here in like 30 minutes. We're gonna shoot our video for our new song. It's like a jerk rap song. It's gonna be fun. But we've got that. I mean, I would just say like just the album. I would just say take a peep on the album, and like maybe on the brand too. But I'm not super. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep it rolling. That's all it is.
All right.
Make
Well,
good
thank you so much.
decisions.
Yeah, make good
Make good
decisions.
decisions.
Well, thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you so much. This has been awesome.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.